Hey y'all, welcome to another video from WreckingNow.com. So hunting season is here, we're getting things ready in the field, and I thought I'd show y'all how I make a battery box. These are used to externally power game cameras to save on batteries as well as minimize the time that you're out in the field. So they're fairly easy to make. You just need to get a dry box. You can use anything that you have that is watertight. I used a kayak dry box that I happen to have laying around, and I give it a rattle can paint job. You've seen me do this before. It's fairly easy to do, and it gives you that Cryptek type paint job. So I put a cargo net over it. You put in some dark colors, you then go over that with some light colors, and this gives you this three-dimensional effect that looks a lot like Cryptek camo. Once I'm complete, I'll then go back with the dark color and just look for any kind of lighter spots or anything that looks unnatural, and I'll dull it down with the dark color. So once that's dried, you're going to want to get a step bit. We're going to put a cable flange in the side to hold the external cable that will power the camera. So I like these cable flanges because I don't have to use marine goop. So I'll add this, and what you do is you push one in and it puts a threaded section through the box. You can tighten that down. There's a little gasket that will make it watertight. And then on the back end, you add back the plastic nut. So you get that as tight as you can. And then there's another threaded piece that tightens down the cable surrounding. And so you'll leave that loose until you put your cable through. So this is a cable that we'll use. They're pretty cheap. I'll link to some in the blog post. And we're going to cut it in two, so this will actually make enough cable for two different boxes. You just cut the outer sheathing, and inside's a fairly small gauge wire. I don't actually have any spade terminal connectors that will fit this gauge wire, but I do have some butt connectors that'll fit, and I'm not going to solder because I want anyone to be able to do this. But I'll take those butt connectors once I thread this through, and I'll add a pigtail. The pigtail will be a higher gauge wire that also fits in that size butt connector that we can fit a spade terminal onto the end of. So just stripping down the pigtail. This is the butt connector. And so you'll crimp that down. And you're going to make two of these because there's a positive end and a negative end. So here's the other side. Put the pigtail in and then crimp it tight. And now you can put a spade terminal on the end of those small wires that are in the sheathing of the cable. So this crimping on the female spade connector. And because I use the same size, or I'm sorry, not the same size, the same color primary wire, I take some red electrical tape just to mark the positive end so I hook it up to the battery correctly. And then you can just get the heat shrink, take a flame and put it to it so it gets down tight and is waterproof. It'll be in the box so it shouldn't matter, but still do it. It also strengthens the connection. And now you can hook up the battery. So I think this is a 12 volt, 7.2 amp battery. And we'll do a quick test just to make sure it works. So this is an integrated port. If your camera does not have one of these, I'm going to do a video later on how to add one. But most cameras these days have them. So you see it's working. So get your battery in there, and when you have the cable just right, you can then tighten down that flange. So you can see where the cable is coming through that it kind of shrunk around it and it's nice and tight. Then I take some foam just to keep the battery from rattling around. And that is all there is to building your external box. No longer do you need to go get double A's and replace them in the camera, and it should last at least a season.